What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 2 sleepers and studs.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to give you a sleeper pick and my favorite stud at each position.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Oh, and good news, guys. Make sure to stay tuned to the very end of this video because we removed the box that was popping up and blocking the lineup. So now you can see a full lineup using these picks that we made in this video if you stay to the very end. Okay, guys, let's take a look at the quarterback position. My Week 2 quarterback stud is Justin Herbert from the LA Chargers playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have the 9th worst defense overall, and they give up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Justin Herbert, he scored 14 fantasy points in Week 1. He got 4 rush attempts. He's going to be about 11% owned, projected at 22.2 fantasy points here in Week 2. He's $6,700 DraftKings salary and $900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 54.5 points scored in this game, and they have the Chargers favored by 3.5. So I had to change over to DraftKings. He scored 18 fantasy points in Week 1 on DraftKings. Now, he didn't have a fantastic Week 1, but here in Week 2, Vegas thinks there's going to be 54.5 points in this game, so it's a super high scoring game. It's a fantastic matchup, so look for Justin Herbert to have a big day. So I like Justin Herbert here versus the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, my sleeper pick at the quarterback position for NFL Week 2 is Derek Carr from the Las Vegas Raiders playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Derek Carr scored 28 fantasy points in Week 1. He got 4 rush attempts. Now, he's only going to be about 1% owned, projected at 17.2 fantasy points here in Week 2. He's $5,300 DraftKings salary and $1,200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 47.5 points scored in this game, and they have the Raiders trailing by 6.5. So Derek Carr had a good Week 1, not a great matchup here in Week 2, but it should be a passing game script. And it looks like Josh Jacobs is still just a little bit banged up. I mean, he got plenty of carries last week, but I do expect a pass-heavy offense here in Week 2 versus the Steelers. So I like Derek Carr here versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. My Week 2 running back stud is Najee Harris from the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall, and they give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Najee Harris, now he only scored 6 fantasy points in Week 1, but he got 16 rush attempts and 3 pass targets, so plenty of volume, and he was on the field for 100% of the snaps. He's going to be about 19% owned, projected at 16.1 fantasy points here in Week 2. He's $6,300 DraftKings salary and $200 more on FanDuel. Now, we know Vegas thinks there's going to be 47.5 points scored in this game, with the Steelers favored by 6.5. So just like we thought the Las Vegas Raiders were going to have a passing game script, I expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to have a running game script. Najee Harris has a fantastic matchup. He's getting a ton of volume on the field all day long. So I like Najee Harris here versus the Las Vegas Raiders.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
All you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, my sleeper pick at the running back position in week 2 is Melvin Gordon from the Denver Broncos playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, and they give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Melvin Gordon scored 24 fantasy points in week 1 off of 11 rush attempts and 3 pass targets. Now, he's only going to be about 1% owned, projected at 13.8 fantasy points here in week 2. He's $5,900 DraftKings salary and the same price on FanDuel. So I like that price on both sites, but that's a super low FanDuel price. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 45.5 points scored in this game, with the Broncos favored by 5.5. So again, you got a running game script for the Denver Broncos, who should pull ahead in this game, and a fantastic matchup. I can't believe that Melvin Gordon is only going to be about 1% owned. That's way too low. So I like Melvin Gordon here versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. My week 2 wide receiver stud is DK Metcalf from the Seattle Seahawks playing the Tennessee Titans, who have the 2nd worst defense overall, and they give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. DK Metcalf scored 16 fantasy points in week 1 off of 5 pass targets. He was on the field for 93% of the snaps. He's going to be about 9% owned, projected at 17.6 fantasy points here in week 2. He's $7,600 DraftKings salary and $600 less on FanDuel. So I like that FanDuel price. And Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 54 points scored in this game, with the Seahawks favored by 6. So super high-scoring game, fantastic matchup. So I like DK Metcalf here versus the Tennessee Titans.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, my week 2 wide receiver sleeper pick is T. Higgins from the Cincinnati Bengals playing the Chicago Bears, who have the 5th worst defense overall, and they give up the 2nd most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. T. Higgins scored 16 fantasy points in week 1 off of 5 pass targets. He was on the field for 74% of the snaps, and he's only going to be about 3% owned, projected at 14.6 fantasy points here in week 2. He's $5,400 DraftKings salary and $600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 45.5 points scored in this game, with the Bengals trailing by 2.5. So fantastic matchup. The Bengals have a high-powered offense, and I think it even makes sense to stack on Joe Burrows with T. Higgins. I think these guys are going to have a great week 2, so I like T. Higgins here versus the Chicago Bears. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. My week 2 tight end stud is Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have a pretty good defense overall, and they've been pretty good versus opposing tight ends. But Darren Waller scored 30 fantasy points in week 1 off of 19 pass targets. He was on the field for 94% of the snaps, and he's going to be about 10% owned, projected at 16.8 fantasy points here in week 2. He's $7,600 DraftKings salary and $600 less on FanDuel. So we know Vegas thinks there's going to be 47.5 points scored in this game, with the Raiders trailing by 6.5. So I liked stacking Darren Waller with Derek Carr. Darren Waller is the workhorse for this team. I expect him to continue to get a ton of pass targets and put up 15 to 30 fantasy points in this one. So I like Darren Waller here versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, my week 2 tight end sleeper pick is Dallas Goedert from the Philadelphia Eagles playing the San Francisco 49ers, who have the second worst defense overall, and they give up the second most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. Dallas Goedert, he scored 14 fantasy points off of 5 pass targets in week 1. He was on the field for 73% of the snaps. He's going to be about 2% owned, projected at 10.9 fantasy points here in week 2. Vegas thinks there's going to be 49.5 points scored in this game, with the Eagles trailing by 3. So Zach Ertz is already banged up with a hamstring. And now the San Francisco 49ers, they have a better defense than their week 1 stats let on. But I do think Dallas Goedert is going to get plenty of pass targets and plenty of opportunity. So I like him as a high risk, high reward play at that 2% ownership. So I like Dallas Goedert here versus the San Francisco 49ers.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.